EVs are gathering storm in India, and we are seeing a slew of launches, and what I have here with me is a hotly anticipated one. This is the Kia Ev6. Now this is a car that has got a lot of global acclaim. It's won quite a few awards, and we've been waiting for it to arrive on Indian shores, and now we have it. Well, I have it for a very short time, to be precise, just 3 hours on the Budh circuit here today. So I'm not going to be able to give you the full-fledged review, but I can tell you what it looks like, what it has, and how it drives on a track. Now, I'm Renuka Kriplani and you're watching the Autocar India channel. If you like this video, do remember to hit the subscribe button and click on the bell icon for notifications for videos like these when we load them up. The Kia Ev6 sits on the group's new eGMP skateboard platform, shared with Hyundai's Ioniq. Now, with no need to reserve space for the engine up front, the Ev6 profile carries a short bonnet and a very long 2,900mm wheelbase, ensuring a generous passenger compartment. It also has a reasonable 178mm of ground clearance as well, so you won't have to worry about speed breakers. This car is going to get eyes popping with its wedge-like shape that looks ready to slice through the air. There are many eye-catching features like the bar design on the front DRLs and tail lamps that look so futuristic. The steeply raked front and rear screens that give it a sporty look, the smart 19-inch alloys, the piano black sills and the tucked-away handles that all make it look quite awesome. The rear has a kind of Aston Martin DBX look, and the striking lights extend over to the sides connected by a reflector right across. The lower half has the sequential indicators that have a chiseled pattern on glass. And on the right side between the lamps sits the charging port. It's a press to open and a button inside to close it. There's also a charging indicator inside the flap. And below the bumper you get really snazzy pixel-shaped reverse lights. Up front, Kia have refrained from adding a fake grille, and the top section is just a stylized design, while the lower half is a genuine air intake to cool the battery and channel it under the flat floorboard for better aero. The trademark tiger nose is now a digitized version in the headlamps. Overall, this car, viewed at any angle, is very distinctive and a head-turner. Now, as you can see, this is an electrically operated tailgate. Just need to approach the car with the key and the tailgate opens automatically, which means you don't really have to struggle with opening the boot at any given point of time if your hands are full. So that's a really good convenience feature. And of course, once you open the boot, you'll realize there is a massive amount of space for luggage, 520 liters to be precise. And to put that into perspective, we've just driven the Jeep Meridian. Now that's a large SUV and that has 480 liters of space. If you want to watch that video, the link is on your screen right now. But this has got a little bit more. So yeah, there's quite a bit of space. You can get large suitcases in easily. The only thing is you're going to have to haul them up and in because the loading lip is quite high over here. Let's see how much more room I can open up. I'm going to get the cover off and maybe just put it down on the side for the moment. And you have levers here at the back to just easily flip down the seats. So that's at the touch of a button. It gets into a continuous floor. So yeah, you can really load this car up and carry your house and everything else in it if you're only 2 passengers. Now, if you think that's not enough space, hang on, I'm not done. I'm going to show you some more. I'll put that back later. Yeah, so you've got more space. Ow, this is hot. It's really hot. So you have a front boot or fruit or a front trunk or frunk, these new age terms I tell you. You have some more space basically is what I'm trying to say. Now in the all-wheel drive version, it's a smaller space, and in the rear-wheel drive version, you get a larger space up here in front. So yeah, you do have some additional storage too. Now as you approach the car to get in, those flush door handles just open up and let you into this really premium looking world. I mean, it's a fabulous interior. I really like it. There's some premium materials here. You've got this nice textured dash which has these stripes across it which give it a nice sporty feel. You have the AC vent that runs right across. Of course, the vents are positioned in the center and on the side, but the line kind of runs across the dash. And you have these twin 12.3-inch screens which are set in this panoramic single screen. Really easy for the driver to view, and all the graphics sharp, crisp, very clear. It's responsive, the screen, and of course it has a host of functions, and we'll get into that. Now below the screens there is a touch panel which is quite unique. Basically it has a dual function. It's a touch panel and you can either use it to access shortcuts for the infotainment screen, or at the touch of a button you can use it to access the AC controls. Now it is a novel solution but not exactly intuitive. I'm not a great fan of all these touch things which require me to take my eye off the road. I prefer these rotary kind of dials. Thankfully the temperature controls are rotary, but honestly if you were to use them they work extremely well. It's very simple, very responsive as well. But the central console, as you can see, it's not integrated, and what that leaves for me is this really nice space. It's a tuck-away box underneath the central console which gives you space, and especially for women, to put a handbag into. Now that's some space I never really find in a car, so that's very convenient. The central console itself is really nicely done. It's got this matte chrome finish. You've got the start button, you've got the rotary shifter to get into drive and reverse, of course, and you have the 360-degree camera, the auto hold, and of course the park assist buttons. And you also have the buttons for the ventilated seats right here. Yes, this does have ventilated seats, and you have the wireless charging pad. Now the seats themselves are also very comfortable. They bolster you in nicely. There's this headrest that comes a bit forward, and maybe for larger people you might find that a bit intrusive, but for someone like me it is just perfect. And let me tell you, if this car is chauffeur driven, your driver is going to love you, because they've got something called anti-gravity seats which just happens at the touch of a button. Yeah, I'm holding it down now, and watch what happens. I can really stretch out, lay back, and honestly if this is not enough, I can completely lie down. Okay, shoot's over guys. Nah, I'm just kidding, but this is really comfortable, and it happens for the passenger seat and the driver's seat up front. So if you're going out of town, you want to take a break, you've had a picnic, you've just eaten, kick the seats back and relax, take a nap. You also get 64-color ambient lighting, a wide sunroof, and an augmented reality heads-up display. There's a 14-speaker Meridian sound system, and it has the Kia Connect app that has 60+ features. Apple CarPlay and Android Auto phone mirroring are included, but neither is available wirelessly. The car's other party trick is reverse charging. Officially called vehicle to load, this can supply up to 3.6 kilowatts through an adapter with a 3-pin socket that sits under the rear seat and connects to the charging port. That's enough to power a fridge during a power cut, or even top up another EV. Now, as far as storage goes, you have a nice little bin over here. You have cup holders, a nice handy pocket to put your keys in. The door pockets are nice and large. You can get a 1-liter bottle in. The glove compartment itself is large and it's cooled. So yeah, you can get stuff in and keep it cool in the glove compartment as well. I have this massive vanity mirror over here. It's literally huge and occupies most of the sun visor. So it is great for putting on your makeup in case you need to. The steering has controls too, and there are USB-A and USB-C charging ports all around the car. Here's a quick look at all the comfort and convenience features on board. Now, safety features include 8 airbags and ESC, and what's nice is that ADAS features are also a part of the package. We'll have to try these out in the real world though, and then comment on how well they work. Now this is the advantage of an EV. With that longer wheelbase, you can give acres and acres of room to the backseat passengers, and that's exactly what the EV6 does. The only thing is, because the batteries are under the floor, you are sat quite low to the floor, and so even for me, I'm a bit knees up, so taller people will find this even more knees up, and that might be a bit uncomfortable. There's just a very tiny smidgen of space to stretch your feet out under the seat in front. But what you do get is loads of recline. So yeah, you can push back, relax. Now, for a third passenger, I mean, look, if they're my size, and there's enough width too, as well to get 3 passengers in. So I think 3-seater, yeah, this will do well. And the seat itself is quite flat. In fact, the seats themselves, the bolstering, the firmness, they are very, very comfortable too. For convenience features, you do have USB-C ports, which are very neatly integrated into the front seat. So very convenient USB-C ports over here. You have the armrest, which has cup holders. And look, this is pretty cool. It's a slot to keep your phone in and slide it and it becomes a cup holder. That's a cool touch. I really like it. And you can even access the boot from here if you need to pull out something. Say you've got your food stored away and you just want to access it. There's a small little cubby hole to access the boot, or maybe even put longer luggage in here at any given point of time. And you have pockets at the back of your seat. You have the AC vents as well. Of course, ride quality is something I cannot comment about now. So how comfortable it is on the whole, I'll let you know later. But before I go, here's one thing. The rear window rolls all the way down. So if you have a dog, he's going to be pretty happy. But then you do sit, like I said, quite low. So the window line is pretty high. Okay, normally at this point I'd say under the bonnet, but in this case it's under the floorboard. There is a 77.4 kilowatt-hour battery, which is pretty large, and so the Kia Ev6 boasts of a claimed 528-kilometer range according to WLTP, which is massive, but the ARAI figures haven't been released yet. Now, this is good by EV standards, but of course that will drop in the real world, and we'll have to tell you what it is really like when we test it out on the road. Kia claims the Ev6 can accept a very fast 350 kilowatt DC charge, which will see the battery go from 10 to 80% in just 18 minutes. Now that's faster than a phone. And on a more common 50 kilowatt fast charger, the battery will take 73 minutes for the level. Now, while globally there are various versions, India will get the rear-wheel drive and all-wheel drive GT line variants. The rear-wheel drive has a single motor that puts out 229 HP and 350 Nm of torque, while the all-wheel drive version gets 2 motors, one at the front and one at the rear, and combined they give you 325 HP and a whopping 605 Nm of torque, and that's sports car level. Okay, get into the Ev6. There's a nice large windscreen, so visibility is good. The seat has a nice range of adjustment. So yeah, I can get up really nice and high. The steering has telescopic tilt, so adjusting it and getting into a good driving position is very, very easy. However, visibility to the rear is a bit limited. It's a small area. But then, for that, I do have the 360-degree camera, and I can access that really easily from here, so I can always see what's around me. Well, let's get this show on the road. For the track drive, I had the all-wheel drive variant, which has a claimed 0 to 100 of 5.2 seconds. Now, the brilliant part of today is that I have a track. It's empty all to myself and I can do this, yes. Flat out, the Ev6. The acceleration in an EV is just a whole load of fun, and this one takes off the line brilliantly. I mean, for a family car, that torque, and when it arrives instantly, is always pretty good. And this one is quick. It is really quick. In the rest of my pista cameras, you will hear the speed alarms going off, and that's because power just doesn't taper off and you get to the 192km speed limit quite easily. And with the build-up of power so smooth and silent, you often don't realize just how quick you're going. In normal functioning, the car works as a rear-wheel drive to keep it energy efficient, and it's only when needed that all four wheels are powered. Kia's disconnector actuator system can switch between rear-wheel drive and all-wheel drive in 0.4 seconds, and it works efficiently without you ever realizing. What you get is tremendous amounts of grip and handling that you didn't imagine from this car. And initially when I was going around this track, there are no gears to come down, so you tend to back off, go slow and brake a little early. But as I drove one lap and then the next, I realized you really don't need to. In the EV6, it does really well around the corners. You can chuck it around them, and handling is very good. So yeah, it does give you a bit of sporty feel. It gives you that involved feeling when you're driving it, and that's nice when you have an EV. Good grip from the 235 section tires also helps to create strong road holding, and the car feels planted at all times. There's an agility to this car that you didn't expect, especially when you consider the amount of mass that's changing direction. It weighs in just under 2 tons. Now when pushed hard, you can even feel the tail step out a bit until the electronics kick in to bring you back. And I was sorely tempted to switch off the traction control, but Kia had a babysitter with me in the car at all times on the track, so I refrained. But I know this, that the EV6 can be a whole lot fun to drive. The one area where there is room for improvement is in steering feedback. Though it does weigh up around corners, I would have liked a little more feeling coming through, especially when you have this level of performance and dynamics. Just can't resist doing that in an EV. And there are modes, there are drive modes as well in the EV6. You have Eco, which is of course the energy saving mode, so it does blunt the performance. And then you have normal, where if you put your foot down, you get a decent amount of response. And then there's sport, which just gives you that much more oomph. And I have to say the step-ups between the modes is quite substantial, so you really feel them. It takes some getting used to not having gears to shift down when you corner and rely entirely on the brakes. But in this GT line, there's a sport brake mode, which gives the pedal more bite and you more confidence as well. Apart from that, what's really great about this EV6 is the way they have tuned the various regen modes, where you can adjust the levels of braking. Now, like all EVs, this also does have regen modes. But what I like about it is that there is a variety of regen modes. You can actually set it to suit your needs. You have an iPedal mode which has different levels. So 0 is, when it's really free flowing and you can let it coast. And then as you go up the modes 1, 2, 3 and max, it gets stronger and stronger. And max is literally single pedal driving, which is not too aggressive. What I like about that is it's progressive too. So as you pick up the pace, it actually brakes gentler and gentler. It's not a sudden lift off. So it doesn't get too aggressive on you, and it makes using the regen modes very, very easy. So I liked the levels of regen, and if you don't want to fiddle around with that, there's also an auto mode which just adjusts it to the way you're driving, which I think is what people can use in daily lifestyle. So yeah, you're actually recouping the energy and getting it back to your battery and making your driving a whole lot easier. Now, like I said, it's a short drive today, just a couple of hours. So this is pretty much all I'm going to be able to tell you. The track is too smooth for me to be able to comment on ride quality. And of course, range is something I'm only going to be able to tell you when we test it out on the road on a long run. So for now, this is it from me. Despite all the action on the track, there's a calm in the cabin, and you hear just a remote squealing of the tires protesting when you chuck it around a corner, and a gentle whirring of the motor. You can play with the audio that's channeled through the speakers and get 3 different sounds. But I was just enjoying this surreal, silent experience. the Kia EV6 is a head-turner that's bound to attract attention. However, being a complete import, this well-spec'd GT line variant is going to be pricey. We expect it to be around 60 to 70 lakh rupees, and the price announcement is scheduled for the 2nd of June. Now, it may be pricey and the backseat may not be entirely comfortable for tall people on longer journeys, but if you're in the market for a luxury EV, this should be on your list because there's lots to love about the Kia EV6. It gives you all the innovation of a full-born electric car, it's loaded with tech, offers exciting performance and has unexpectedly good handling. It's also practical to use with its efficiently packaged space and a healthy claimed range. Now, Kia are bringing in only 100 of these to begin with, and I think they will be sold out in no time at all. We are also eagerly waiting to test it out in the real world.